Hi, I'm Jessica Noble, Assistant Director for Teacher Licensure and Accreditation. I'm excited today to talk to you about the STAR recognition for civic engagement. As you might recall, the Kansas State Board of Education has a new vision for a successful high school graduate. No longer is it enough to just graduate with a diploma. Now they want to make sure that our students are academically and cognitively prepared with the employability and technical skills needed, and they are civically engaged when they leave high school. That civic engagement piece is so critical because it's important for our students to see it modeled and to have an opportunity to practice it while they are in elementary, middle, and high school so that they can go on to become civically engaged Kansans. The STAR recognition is a really great opportunity for us to recognize all of the civic engagement efforts that your schools are doing across the state and elevate that up to a system level award. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the civic engagement application and the rubric and how that correlates to the STAR recognition. You know, anytime that you're hanging out with a group, there's always that one person that's just a little bit off from everybody else, and that's civic engagement. We were actually already had an application that was in progress before the STAR recognition came to be. And that Civic Advocacy Network Award was at the school level. And so we had an opportunity with STAR recognition to think about how we might continue our efforts at the school level while also recognizing the efforts of our systems. And we decided that a separate application was not the way to go. We recognize that you're already doing a tremendous amount of work as it relates to other system-wide applications, and we're already collecting information about your school level progress. So civic engagement is different than all of the other system level awards for STAR recognition in that we are taking the information from your school level application and aggregating it up so that we can award a STAR recognition based on the percentage of schools in the district you have who've earned the Civic Advocacy Network Award or a promising practice. Every year in April, the Civic Advocacy Network Award application opens, and you can find it right now on the KSDE website by going to the letter C and then Civic Engagement. It's right there at the top. This is a school level application, and we encourage as many schools across the state to apply as possible. On June 30th, the application will close, and we will have our group review it, and I'll talk about that here in a moment. And then we will award out school level awards. Behind the scenes, we'll then input that information into a spreadsheet so that we know the percentage of schools in each district who've earned the Civic Advocacy Network Award or promising practice, and then we're able to award our STAR recognition levels. So once you've had a school apply for the Civic Advocacy Network Award, your work is done as it pertains to STAR recognition for civic engagement. So let me talk just a little bit more about what you're going to find in the application elements and how we score the application and some helpful hints. All of the work that we're doing for civic engagement application is predicated on the 6 proven practices for effective civic learning that was developed by the Education Commission of the states. This document was published in 2016, and it's what we base our civic engagement initiative around. Within that document, it highlights 6 proven practices that schools can engage in to help make sure that our students are having an opportunity to practice civic engagement while they're still in school. In practice 1, it's all about making sure that we're providing that rigorous instruction in government, history, law, and democracy, which I know many of you are, especially as it pertains to our required courses. Practice number 2 is taking it a little bit further, and it's incorporating those discussions of current local, national, and international issues that students are really interested in, and those that are important to their lives. Within practice number 3, we're looking for opportunities to develop and implement programs that give students an opportunity to apply what they're learning while performing community service. You may know this as service learning. Service learning is more than just getting out in the community and cleaning up a stream or visiting a nursing facility. Instead, it's going to be an opportunity to tie that volunteer service, which is critical, to what they're actually learning in the classroom, and then giving them an opportunity to reflect on that service afterwards. Within practice number 4, we're looking for programs that are offering extracurricular activities to students that allows them to get involved with their schools or communities. I know many of you are providing those extracurriculars, and this is taking it that one step further so that it's those extracurriculars that allow students to really get involved and to give back into their schools and communities. With practice number 5, we're encouraging student participation in school governance. And with practice number 6, we're encouraging those opportunities for our students to participate in simulations of the democratic process. So within the school level application, you will end up actually filling out 18 separate narratives. And I know right from the get-go, you're like, oh, I'm out, 18 narratives, that's crazy. But each one is predicated around the 6 proven practices. So we recognize that you may be doing many, many great things as it relates to civic engagement in your schools. So for each of the proven practices, we give you 2 opportunities to tell us about the evidence that you have to exemplify that proven practice. And that evidence really is referring to those school or classroom-wide practices, initiatives, programs, and events that you're doing as it pertains to each of the areas of proven practices. So right away, for each proven practice, you have 2 narratives that's describing your evidence. Then you're going to write a 3rd narrative describing how you know that piece of evidence is successful. This is really your opportunity to talk about your story and to tell about the successful initiatives that you are engaged in. So the first one is a little more, this is exactly what we're doing. And the second one is about, this is the impact that this is having in our community. So you have 6 proven practices. Each one has 3 areas that you can fill out for a total of 18 separate sections. At this time, we have not requested artifacts to support and or validate your narrative, but we do reserve the right to request that at any time. So be sure that what you are putting into your application could actually be backed up with some evidence. We have a team here at KSDE who will review each of your school level applications. And in fact, we review based on each proven practice. So we'll have a group of 3, and they will review all of proven practice 1 for every school that applied. And then we'll have a different group for proven practice 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So your application is actually going to be seen by many, many people here at KSDE. We will then assign 2 scores. The first is a practice score, and that's not like we're practicing, it's a score for each of the proven practices. And so that's going to be between a 0 and a 5. We'll take both of the narratives that you had submitted where you talked about your evidence as well as your narrative about how successful it is, and we will assign a score for each practice. We will then come along and we'll identify a participation score. And this is to really help make sure that those really exemplary things that are happening in our schools, if they're happening only within this one classroom with just these 20 students, that's getting a comparable weight as maybe a lesser program that's reaching the whole school-wide population. So we do have a participation score. It starts at 1 if only a few students are getting it, and it goes up to 5 if all students in the school are receiving it. So this is how we're able to weigh those little pockets of things that might be happening with our more broad school-wide interventions. As I mentioned before, we will take the percentage of your schools that receive either the Civic Advocacy Network Award or the promising practice. So a promising practice means that you haven't received the award as a school, but you were really shining through in one of the proven practices. And so we will award you a promising practice. And both levels of awards will feed into your STAR recognition rubric. So if you are a district and you have 9 schools and 5 of your schools have received the Civic Advocacy Network Award or promising practice, you've now crossed the 50% threshold, but haven't yet reached the 75% threshold. So you would expect to receive a bronze award within your STAR recognition. The other really great thing to know is that our Civic Engagement Advocacy Network allows your school to stay engaged as a network member, as an award recipient year after year after year without reapplying. So if your school received the award 2 years ago, we still have your school listed in the rubric because we know that we're still engaging with your school around civic engagement activities. So it's not that every year your schools have to reapply. Once a school has applied and received the Civic Advocacy Network Award, you don't have to apply again. You just have to maintain your efforts, and you have to also serve as a model for other districts across the state. So this is a really great opportunity, especially for our large districts where this may seem like a really heavy lift right from the get-go. You can actually bring on a few schools this year. You can bring on a few more schools this year, next year, and the following year. And as you move along, you're going to reach those thresholds of 25%, 50%, 75%, and 90%. A few helpful hints that I'd like to share with you is make sure that you're not including any personally identifiable information. And in fact, in the Civic Advocacy Network Award application, we actually ask you not even to use your school or district name. And that's because we will hide your district number and your school name for our reviewers so that you're not getting some unintentional bias there because, oh, my kid goes to your school, or, oh, I remember I served on your redesign committee. So we really do try to redact all of your personally identifiable information, including your school name and district name and community name, so that we can be as impartial as possible. So if you leave those out from the get-go, it'll be easier on us. I'd also like to encourage you to describe in great detail the evidence that you have for each of your proven practices, as well as the successfulness of each of your pieces of evidence. Sometimes, actually, let me go ahead and read the next bullet and then I'll bundle them together. Assume that your reviewers do not know your acronyms or any of the school jargon. Now, obviously, we are predominantly educators here at the State Department of Education, but sometimes what happens is a school will say, we watch CNN 10. And you may have someone reviewing your application from fiscal, and they have no idea what CNN 10 is, what it does, what its intent is, how your teacher uses it as part of their school day. And so a much better response would be, we all watch CNN 10 in every one of our history government classes across the entire building. After CNN 10, and then a description about what CNN 10 is and what it does. And after our students watch CNN 10, we offer an opportunity for students to debrief what they heard, to talk about other issues that are important to them at this time. And we reflect about it in our seminar time in our journals, something like that. Now, as a reviewer, I know a lot more about how CNN 10 is important in your school district. And so really go into that detail and just assume that we don't know what you're talking about. We'd much rather have a couple of paragraphs to read than a couple of sentences. The last thing that I would say is please apply, even if you don't have a piece of evidence for a particular practice, or if you don't have two pieces of evidence for a practice. So let's suppose that you're really, really just, hitting home on 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. But 4 is new to you and you haven't really ever offered any extracurriculars that are giving students opportunities to give back to their school or community. That's okay. Go ahead and apply, even if you don't have evidence for each of the two pieces for each proven practice, because we will still want to hear from you. We'll want to know the work that you are engaged in. And even if it doesn't result in an award this time around, we'll be able to connect with you and provide support as you continue to move forward. I really appreciate your time today, and I look forward to reading your application. Thank you.